Alright, welcome back to Classical Physics, and we're going to be talking about unit conversion. So, the first lesson we talked about the fundamental principal units and dimensions that kind of make up physics, and then we have some different units of measurements that are derived from those. And that's good to have those definitions and to be able to relate your units and dimensions to the real world. And now we're going to be having to convert those units between different the systems of units between the English and the SI, and even between units that are within the same systems, because you're going to have to do that even in the real world when you have different systems of measurements like we do. One system of measurement is going to be more useful to you than another at any given time. So you're going to have to be able to convert between these different systems and between different units. So, for example, and some of these simple ones you already know how to do, right? Like there's 12. That was a crazy mark there. 12 inches equals 1 foot. Now I'm going to break down some vocabulary in here. What we call this is an equivalent relationship. Now, what we call these numbers are the conversion factors. So we have an equivalent relationship, 12 inches equals 1 foot. If I say 12 inches and I say 1 foot, I'm saying the same thing physically. Physically, they are the same thing. Even though I'm saying it in different ways, they are the same thing. Just like if I were to say 1 inch equals 25.4 millimeters. If I say 1 inch, or if I say 25.4 millimeters, I'm still saying the same thing. Physically, they are physically the same length. I am just using two different systems of measurement, two different units. So this would be my equivalent relationship, and this is my conversion factor. All right? So we're going to be getting into a little bit of a dimensional analysis now, and I'll provide some conversion charts because no one memorizes all of the different conversion factors. There's too many, and they're just almost arbitrary. So we use tables and charts, and so provide you with some of those resources so you can look up some of these conversion tables for yourself. But we're going to be getting into dimensional analysis. We'll start a little bit simple, and then we'll get a little bit more complicated. For example, let's say we want 725 meters. We want to convert that to feet. All right? So, first step. What is my equivalent relationship and my conversion factors? What are they? Well, how many feet are in a meter? How many meters in a feet? Now, some of your tables are going to directly tell you meters to feet, right? They'll directly tell you that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do this two different ways. One really easy way where you don't have to take a bunch of steps. We'll just assume the table that you have has the direct conversion factor that 1 meter equals 3.281 feet. Okay, here's our equivalent relationship, and this is our conversion factors, 1 and 3.281. So what do we want our answer in? We want our answer in feet, right? We have it in meters. So what do we do with this equivalent relationship? What do we do with these conversion factors, 1 and 3.281? This is what we do. So we take what we presently have, 725 meters. We multiply it by an equivalent ratio of 1. If I multiply anything by 1, it's the same thing, right? So I'm not changing the number. I'm merely changing the units. So how do I do that with the conversion factor? Here's how. 3.281 feet over 1 meter. You'll notice 3.281 feet equals 1 meter. So this is the same thing, meaning this ratio is 1. Now, what you'll also notice when you multiply these, units kind of act just like numbers. The meters cancel out. And then if I use a handy dandy calculator, 725 times 3.281 equals 2,378.725 feet. That is our answer. That is step 2, right? So first step, find out your equivalent relationship, your conversion factors, and then multiply what you presently have by the ratio of your equivalent relationship. That's a big mouthful of words. But all this was, if you look at this, I'll change colors here. This is just the desired units. That was the cat there. The desired units over the present units. Had the cat jump on my desk just now. So, desired units over the present units. That's all that it really was. And it's the ratio of 1 using the equivalent relationship. Ta-da! Now, if you got like blown away by that and you're like a little bit lost, just pause it, rewind it, go through it again. The more practice you get, the better you will be at it. That's just the way it goes with anything in physics and math. Okay, now let's go over a little bit more complicated example, not too much more. Actually, what we'll do, we'll go over the same number here, 725 meters. And I'm kind of doing this on the fly here, but 700, let me do white. I like, there we go. 725 meters to feet again. Now this time, let's say that we don't have the direct conversion between meters and feet at our fingertips. But let's say we do have meters to inches. Actually, I already told you in the beginning. 1 meter. See, this is what we do. If you don't even have a table, if you know something, then you can get back to it. 1 meter equals how many millimeters? I'm gonna jump all over the place with the units and just go through a bunch of steps. 1 meter is 1,000 millimeters, right? And 12 inches equals 1 foot. And we know that 1 inch equals 25.4 millimeters. Here's some knowns that we have, right? Now, you usually, you're typically not going to go through this randomized set of steps, but what I want to show you is that if you don't have the direct conversion factor that you want, you can go through steps of conversion factors that you know and still get the right answer. For instance, these are the steps that we have. So we know, we start with this. We say 725 meters times, remember, 1 meter equals 1,000 millimeters. That equals 725 and millimeters. We canceled our meters. And then that's going to be times. We know 25.4 millimeters. Now, why did I put that on the bottom? Well, look at the units. I want to cancel them out, right? 25.4 millimeters its equivalent in inches is 1 inch, right? We're writing a ratio of 1, 25.4, and 1 inch. Huh? Yeah. So now we're doing 725,000 divided by 25.4, which is, let's go down here, 28,543.3 inches. And then we can say times, what did we want our answers in? Feet, right? Let's cancel those inches out, right? What's our equivalent relationship with inches and feet? 12 inches equals 1 foot. Yeah? You tracking with me? So now we have this big number here, 28,543.3 inches divided by 12. See how that works? Divide by 12. And we get 2,378.6 feet. Now, was that the same as before? Yes. 2,378. 2,378. So that is good. Now, the decimal is just because I used 25.4 and there's actually several more numbers after it. I just went by the memory for this conversion here. So that's how you can, I hope it wasn't too convoluted for you, but what I was kind of on the fly there, but what I basically did was I used the same problem that we had at the beginning, where in the beginning, don't know why it's not going off of that. All right, there we go. So in the beginning, we had a direct conversion factor between meter and feet. So the first step was getting that conversion factor and that relationship. 1 meter equals 3.281 feet. And then we just multiplied what we presently have by our desired over our present units. And we cancel those units out. And then we're left with what units we want. And that's our answer. In the situation where you don't have the direct conversion factor, you try to use what you have in order to do the same thing you just did with the feet, but you do it multiple times in multiple steps. It's like a bridge. It's actually just like a little path. We're taking our path to what we know in order to get to what we want to know. So I knew this inches to millimeter relationship, right? But I didn't have inches and I didn't have millimeters. But I did have meters, and I knew this meter to millimeter relationship. 1 meter equals 1,000 millimeters. So I took that and went down the line with what I knew. I converted the meters to millimeters, and then I converted the millimeters to inches, and then I converted inches to feet. And I end up with the same thing. So sometimes your dimensional analysis will involve multiple steps. And that's okay, right? So let's see, maybe we'll do another example. Let's think about an area. I have a square. Well, that almost was a square. I have a square, and I have a length of, let's say, it's a 2 by 2 square inch, 2 inch by 2 inch square. So my area is going to be 2 inch times 2 inch equals 4 inch squared. Yeah? Simple enough, right? Now, let's say I want to convert 4 square inches to millimeters squared. Square millimeters. Now, what you're tempted to do, and I do not want you to do because it would be wrong, is so first we're going to find our conversion factor. That's what you should do first of all. First step is to always find your equivalent relationship in your conversion factors. So we found out earlier that 1 inch equals 25.4 millimeters. Yeah. And that's great. What I don't want you to do is to say, oh, well, this is going to be easy. I've got 4 inches squared, and I'm just going to multiply by 25.4 millimeters squared. This would be wrong. Why is that wrong? Because you would just be saying 4 times 25.4, and then you would just say, oh yeah, okay, inches squared come out, inches squared come out, and you're left with an answer, millimeters squared. Right? That is wrong. Here is why it is wrong, because if you multiply, if you look at the units as they are, you have 4 inches times inches, right? Inches squared over, times, we want to, the first inches is 25.4 millimeters. Then we have another inch that's 25.4 millimeters, right? Inches, inches. If you look at the square, the square over there, you have 2 different units that you have. You have 2 different instances that you have to convert. You have to convert this 2 inches to millimeters and this 2 inches to millimeters separately. Think about it. If you did it another way and said this 2 inches is going to be 25.4, and I'll see what that is. Oh, it's 50.8. I know that. So 50.8 millimeters. Let me change. That's this one. And then this one is also 2 inches times 25.4 over 1 inch. Millimeters. Sorry. And that's going to equal, these cancel out, 50.8 millimeters. And so then you know that length times width, that will be 50.8 times 50.8 millimeters equals, let's find out, 50.8 times 50.8, 2,580.64 millimeters squared. Oh, I lost my units there a little bit. There. Millimeters squared. Okay? And if you look up here, if you do it the way that I did it here, just a straight multiplication, you see the same answer, 2,580.64 millimeters squared. So you can see it 2 different ways here. And so these are two different ways of doing the exact same thing. So whenever you see anything that's squared or cubed or anything like that, you have to recognize you don't just do this conversion one time. You do it however many times that the unit is used. So since this is inches squared, you know, this is inches squared, then we have to convert it once and then use the same thing again. Because, like you just saw up here, we would be converting it for one of the lengths and then separately converting it for another length and then multiplying them together. And this is doing the same thing. You're converting each length separately, and then you're multiplying by what you have. So I hope the explanation was clear to you, but the point I want to get across is you don't just do one conversion if you have a square or a cubed or a unit to an exponent, because each one of those exponents represents one unit that has to be converted. So there you go. So let's do another example because I feel like that deserves another example. Okay, so we're going to do a cube. Let's switch it up here. We're going to do 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters by 3 centimeters. And so our volume equals 3 centimeters times 2 centimeters times 2 centimeters. That's going to equal 12 centimeters cubed, right? Now, what if I want 12 centimeters to convert to, cubed, 12 centimeters cubed to feet cubed? Well, the first thing I need to do is get the equivalent relationships and conversion factors. I don't know centimeters cubed to feet cubed. I'm sure there's a table that I can see for that, but just by memory and just to give us practice to go through the different steps, I do know centimeters to millimeters, and I know millimeters to inches and inches to feet. So that's what we'll do. So the first conversion relationship, centimeters and millimeters. So there's 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. So we've got 12 centimeters cubed times, we're going to take our centimeter down here, and then our desired is the millimeters, 10 millimeters. Now remember, we've got 3 of these. Each side is converted independently. Now, so we've got 1,000 times 12 is 12,000 millimeters cubed. So 12 centimeters cubed is 12,000 millimeters cubed. So now I know 25.4 millimeters equals 1 inch. There's my second conversion step. So I'll take my answer here, 12,000 millimeters cubed times my desired, which is inches, and then I've got 1 inch, just writing the relationship here, over 25.4 millimeters. Again, 3 times. I'm just going to write the numbers here to save some time. No, I'm not. That's sloppy. Gotta do it. Now, I'm going to have to break out the calculator on that one. All right. So 25.4 that's going to be 12,000 over 16,387.64. Running out of room there. We'll bring that on over down here, okay? So 12,000 over 16,387 point, I can't even read what that is, 64. That's going to be 0.732 inches cubed, right? So now I've got that. What's my next conversion factor? I got 12 inches equals 1 foot. So 0.732 inches cubed, hope you're catching on by now, times inches, 12, 1 foot. We're going to do that again and again. And that's going to be let's see, 12 times 12 times 12 is 1728. So 0.732 over 1728 is 0.0004236 feet cubed, or 4.2 times 1, 2, 3, 4. 10 to the negative 4 feet cubed. Oh no, I just noticed I just wrote those numbers right under my face. I'll write it up here in blue just so you know the answer. So this answer I'm going to bring up here. 4.2 times 10 to the negative 4 feet cubed. So 12 centimeters cubed is 4 times 2 times to the left. 4.2 times 10 to the negative 4 feet cubed. And that makes sense, right? A foot is a lot bigger than a centimeter. So if you think about your units and you go, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense, then that's a good chance you're in the right direction. But hopefully you got a better understanding of converting between one unit to another, and we'll see you for the next lesson.